welcome to another video. My name is Britta Swiderski and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Distress Inks foam blending chart. So you may already have the one made from before the seasonal inks were made part of the permanent Distress Inks line. But obviously now that's missing 12 colors, and if you haven't made it before, this video will show you how. This is the actual Tim Holtz Distress Inks color chart that's available on the Ranger website, but I made it bigger and to the perfect size to hold all of the foams. So all you have to do is print off this PDF. The link will be in the description below and on this blog post on my blog. And then you just have to cut it out and adhere it to some board. So I'm going to show you how to cut it out. I've arranged this so that there's overlap on all four of the pieces. So you will need to do a little bit of trimming, but it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out. What I like to do is start off by trimming off the excess of the bottoms and this side right here. The top can keep all of its stuff in order. So let's do that. Okay, so I've trimmed off the excess down this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then you're going to use these outside guidelines, which are just a 1/4 inch wider than the actual diagram, to line up this side. This side is already pre-matched because it's kind of where everything starts. So what you're going to do is quite simply line this up. And you have the letters, the forest moss and the picked raspberry and the spiced marmalade to guide you, as well as the top here. So line those up and then adhere it together. I'm just going to use my ATG for that. Just adding some adhesive on the far edge of this one and then also on the edge of this one, and that will provide for a perfect adherence. And you really don't need to be too specific with this one either, because it is going to go on another board. So now just take care to line these up. Use the lines as a guidance. And you know, it doesn't really have to be perfect either. So I've left this area, you know, without trimming it. So this area is what's going to lay on top of it. Well, in order for that to work, we just need to adhere these two together first, and then we'll adhere everything all together at once. So we're going to repeat the exact same process, just matching up these edges. And we're just going to match this one up. This one's, you know, it doesn't have any text to kind of guide you on this, so just kind of eyeball it out. Really, there's so much space around where the foam is going to go that you really don't have to worry too much about making it a little bit too small or a little bit too big. It's going to be just fine. So now that we got that all matched up, all you have to do is trim off the side down the hairline over here, and then the next step is adhering it to a board. I just happen to have this piece of crescent board, which is usually used for, you know, matting pictures and doing presentations. It's from my college days. That actually fits this. It's just a scrap. So what I'm going to do is actually adhere this to the crescent board with using just a little bit of adhesive around the outside edges. We're going to be putting brads or staples through pieces of Velcro in the middle, so you don't want any extra adhesive getting in the way. But just adhere this to the board and then use a sharp X-Acto knife and a long straight edge ruler. I like metal rulers with cork backings because they don't tend to slip and they hold up really, really well against the edge of the X-Acto knife. to trim it to size. And once again, this is not an exact science. It's just a tool for you to use in your craft room. So if you need to resort to just using regular scissors or trying to make do with a paper cutter that you have on hand, that's okay too. It doesn't need to look like $1 million. It just needs to function for you. So I'm going to stick this on here and then trim it up, and then we'll be ready to adhere our Velcro. Now the next part is really quite simple, but the hardest part of this project. You have to take some Velcro. I recommend non-self-adhesive Velcro, but I got lucky with the last extra end of a Velcro thing when I was at the fabric store. So I'm just going to use what I have on hand because there's no sense in buying new Velcro if I have a whole ton of it here. You're just going to cut little pieces about 1/2 inch wide of the Velcro, and then enough for each space. So then you'll stick it to the middle. This little piece of Velcro, you don't need to make it too big because a little piece of Velcro will do just fine. You just stick it, and then you need some way to secure it, and that's the hardest part. The best way and the easiest way for all of the edge ones is to use a tiny attacher or a long reach stapler. If you have one, that is absolutely fantastic because it will go through and keep it nice and solid on there. Or just a regular stapler works well. In the middle ones, you might have to actually put a hole in it using, say, this guy here, the Tim Holtz needle tool, and then use a brad in the middle. And that's what I did with my ones in the middle here, just using a simple brad. And then you'll be ready to go. And as you can see, using the staple is absolutely necessary because even with the adhesive down on the back, the force of pulling off the ink pad is going to wear away at that adhesive over time. It's going to make it a lot harder. And you don't want to be messing with a whole bunch of extra pieces of Velcro flying around. So just take my advice now and staple these down, use brads to adhere them, or any other way that you have of securing them, tacking them down, and then they'll be a lot easier to use day in and day out without having to worry about the pieces of Velcro coming flying off. So I'm going to do that now, and then all that's left to do after that is to put on our pieces of foam. So I found that in this process of adding all the brads, I'll show you the back here. You can see that there are brads all on the inside and staples on the outside. Staples are much easier to put in, but brads are a little bit more stable and you can put them anywhere on the page. A couple things are particularly useful. This piercing mat from We Are Memory Keepers is just a piece of foam. So if you have an old foam mouse pad that you want to use, I like this one because it's so large, so I was able to put it under half of the brads at once. That was really nice. I used the paper piercer from Tim Holtz, which will definitely need to be clean with some Goo Gone after this because it has some adhesive on it, but that is okay. And then this is also very important to save your fingers. It's the We Are Memory Keepers brad attacher, I want to say. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will have a link in the video description and on this blog post, which is also linked in the video description. It's really great because when you have a brad, you can actually flip the thing over and then use this kind of pokey end to get in between the two tines. That saves your fingers big time. And then you can use this end to kind of press it down. I really like to use this end, just kind of get between, push both sides down, and then flip it over onto my hard mat, and then press down with my tonic scissors, just to really get that brad in there. And that works fabulous, and now we don't have any pokey pieces on the back. I also used my scissors to go in and just press down the ends of the staples so that they're very secure into the back. And so this is what it looks like without any foam on it. Looks pretty nice, I have to say. So now all you have to do is find the right foams and stick them to the right places. I do label the backs of my foams with the 2 initials of the color, and usually that's enough to give me some indication. In the case where some of them are the same initials, like, let's see if I can find one here. Brushed corduroy and broken china. Since I don't use brushed corduroy very much, I might put brown in the corner written with some fine Sharpie. But usually once you use them enough times, you can really tell the color anyways. So that's totally up to you. But you know, Milled Lavender, ML, Dusty Concord, DC, and then I can have them all on one place. So let's get this all put together. I also thought you might like to see how I've been storing things in the meantime while, you know, the last year and a half or so while I've had these inks. I just made some really simple paper, used a ruler to draw a line, and then stapled some Velcro onto different sheets of cardboard, chipboard. You can see really anything a little bit stiff will work for this. And then I just wrote the names next to them. And that just helped keep them organized. So in the future, if you have other inks that you like to keep blending foams for, or if there are new distress colors, if that ever happens, you can always make little tiny cheat sheets. Or if you have a very small area and can only afford this much space, you know, this is a really great option as well. You could also cut down these sheets into rows and keep them that way. I will probably hang mine on my wall in front of my desk. You can just punch a little hole here, or even 2 holes, and hang it right on the wall or right next to your work surface, and it's really easy to access any colors. And then the final step to all of this is to replace any foams that really have just been through a lot. Like this one, my Spice Marmalade one, the felt backing is coming off. It just definitely could use some love. So I just replace it for one. I already marked it on the back and even wrote a line underneath it just in case you read it as WS by accident, because I don't know what that would be. And then you can just put it on here and you have it all ready to go for next time. I'm also going to do that with some wild honey. That guy was looking pretty down. Tumbled glass, peacock feathers, and also peeled paint. You'll know when they need to be replaced because this part becomes less sticky to the Velcro. So sometimes they'll almost fall off because they've just been detached so many times. So I'm making that one a peeled paint. I actually had already used that one for shabby shutters, but I had 2 of them for some reason, so I just repurposed it. And the refills are really easy. You know when to replace them because they won't stick to your little blending tool anymore. And just so you know, you can always use this for the smaller round foams that Ranger recently released. They have this fun little round foam, which is really great. I haven't gotten around to making a specific one for each color yet, but eventually I might get there. So yes, keep this chart in mind whether you're using the regular rectangular foams or the round ones. It will work for both. So there is the finished Distress Inks chart. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can see all of the download links in the description below. And I will even link to my No Stress Distress Inks course where I first introduced this concept. A lot of people have loved it. I've used it for years and really enjoy it. And it's just kind of, it looks cool. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time on another tutorial video.